there was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more, to see if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles we never could. Welcome into the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas. Kevin, that music's hitting a little bit different today. Thank you to all you fine folk at home watching this one on a Tuesday at noon. The AZ Wildcats podcast. We are in PHNX HQ2, and there is pizza in the office, Kevin. And
it smells like Spinato.
We are not a part of said pizza party at the moment, but we will be as soon as this show is over. And that's how I'm going to tell you. That's how I'm living on a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. Kevin is hungry.
Real hungry, Damon. And you know what? Like, this morning was good. Got a good night's rest. Woke up this morning, walked my dog, came in. And Espo was like, we got Spinatos coming in today. And I said, Spinatos? That sounds incredible. About what time is it going to be coming in? And it was like, oh, probably around noon. Around noon. Oh, so when me and Damon are doing this show for you, the people, I'm just saying, don't say we didn't do nothing for you at home, because we're sacrificing Spinatos to be here right now. Don't listen to the shoulder man behind me. I don't know which side is which. Straight propaganda. Me and Damon are sacrificing our Spinatos, putting our Spinatos on the line
means
to
everything.
Be here today right now with you fine folk at home.
It certainly means everything, Kevin. And also what means everything is, Carter Bryant coming back for another season at Arizona. Lots of big news yesterday in terms of players coming back, but we're still kind of waiting on one guy and what his decision making is going to be. And I'll be honest, Kevin, we talked about it a little bit off air. There was me and you we did our temperature checks yesterday of, kind of odds we were taking on Carter Bryant, how we felt. And I believe you said 60-40 he was coming back. I said 50-50 he was coming back.
Better.
And for some reason, both of us, after yesterday's show, we just got some added confidence that just got, put into our world about Carter Bryant coming back for an extra season. And I'm feeling better than 50-50 today, Kevin. That could change tomorrow. I mean, listen, things did change from one day to the next, but I don't know. It feels to me like Carter Bryant is trending back to return to Arizona.
Doesn't it, Damon? And everything kind of going on around Carter Bryant, it all just feels like it's coming up like a return to Tucson next season. And when you have, and maybe we're doing a little bit too much of reading into this, and maybe our guy, Coach Riley from yesterday, is right. Maybe we're being a little bit selfish with some of these things. But damn it, I'm gonna say we're allowed to do it because Damon, one of the most important things these days when you're building a brand, building a personality, whatever you want to say, it's your social media presence, right? Social media presence in this day and age means a lot. And what is Carter Bryant choosing to do with his social media presence these days, Damon? He's choosing to only really promote the program of Arizona basketball. He's not even promoting Carter Bryant, really. It's Arizona basketball on his Instagram stories. And if you look at Carter Bryant's stories here over the past couple of days, this is just in the last 24 hours, reposting his teammates Anthony Dell'Orso's run it back, reposting the re-signed of Jaden Bradley, and reposting the signing of Evan Nelson as well, Damon. And it just doesn't seem, it feels like a player that's heavily invested in what is going on around Arizona, beyond just having played for Arizona, beyond just potentially being an alum, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It feels like someone who is about to go to war with these guys. You know what I mean?
I think the Evan Nelson one in particular is eye-opening, right? Because the other guys, those are his guys. He's played with those dudes for a year. Like, they have a bond, right? Like, this team in particular felt like a very close team, right? And you saw Carter, the way he was speaking, post loss to Duke about the team in the locker room, getting emotional. Like, this team clearly meant a lot to him. So it was always like you could hold in the back of your head, like, well, I think Carter's, just being a good teammate, and I don't think you can read too much into those, right? But when he posts the Evan Nelson commitment signing graphic, this is a guy that he's not familiar with, Kevin, someone that he doesn't, he hasn't played with in the past. And yet I don't know, he's hyping that up as well. And that's what gives me a little bit of confidence, Kevin, that like he's probably in the cards to return, right? Because why else would you be kind of hyping up a guy who, you have not and will never play with? That seems odd to me.
It does seem odd. And you talk about internal communication and Carter Bryant being involved in next year's decision making, or him being excited about the addition of Evan Nelson to next year's roster. Alec Bond right here is reading my mind, because if you are checking the Arizona roster, they just uploaded their 2025-26 roster, and look at this. What is that? You see that forward? Okay, yeah, 6'8", that checks out. 225, okay, maybe it fluctuates, weight changes. SO period? That's an abbreviation for sophomore, Damon, dog. He was a freshman last season, and the only way you can become a sophomore is if you come back, and and someone had to upload that to the website. So I feel like maybe there's been some internal communications, and maybe someone got out over their skis, or maybe they just made a mistake and was getting a little sumptuous, and now we're reading into it. But Erica, but that's a funny comment. But I wanted to it feels like there's been some internal discussions about Carter Bryant coming back for next season. And your idea yesterday about Tommy Lloyd being a pie in the sky guy who chases his ideal scenario and will fall short of nothing to reach that, right? I think that I'm saying that I think Tommy Lloyd knows Carter Bryant's decision, if that's been made. And if Carter Bryant hasn't made a decision, obviously, then that's what it is. But there are certain things, if you're reading the tea leaves, just makes it seem like Carter Bryant is already set to come back, and they're just waiting to do some crazy video edit or whatever of his announcement, or there's like a date that's, relevant to him coming up. So I don't know. The vibes are certainly increasing on the Carter Bryant return train, Damon.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. I don't know if we're in a situation where, and this is kind of what it leads me to believe, Kevin. I don't know if you disagree with it or not. Maybe he's still deciding, and they're just kind of giving him the leeway to make his own decision, and just saying like, hey, we're going to go ahead and push forward with, this roster profile, and you figure out what you want to do. But to me, that feels like we're waiting on one more of these re-signing graphics, and they held the one that is going to hype the fan base up the most for last. Even though Jaden Bradley's a big deal. Like, Jaden Bradley coming back is a big deal. He's obviously the starting point guard of the team, but I don't think that was really up in the air as much, right? Tobe Awaka, same situation. Like, he might be the starting center, or Mo Krivas, who also got re-signed, but like, those guys are going to vie for a starting spot, but it didn't really feel like that they were going to be leaving, right? But you look at Carter Bryant, Arizona knows that Carter Bryant's return will hype this fan base up more than anybody. Maybe they're holding off on that one on its own right to give its own leeway, right? Instead of doing this flurry of re-signings like they did yesterday. And they're saving up something special for this one. I could definitely see that being the case.
Yeah, and when you talk about being special, like it does feel like, and again, no disrespect to Jaden Bradley, it does feel like the Carter Bryant decision is more seismic. It feels like it's more of a indicator of next year's success, right? I think if Jaden, because Jaden Bradley was, and I'm going to get to this in segment 2 a little bit, Jaden Bradley was likely to return anyway next season, right? Like, obviously there was a chance that he could have been, swooped off his feet by some big booster somewhere else, like a Henry Vasar was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's totally a chance every year that a player like that could transfer. But no one really was talking about Jaden Bradley transferring. Nobody was talking about Jaden Bradley going to the NBA. Nobody was talking about him not playing in an Arizona uniform next season. The talk of the town is if Carter Bryant is going to come back or not. And I think that makes the difference when you're talking about, the hype videos or when you roll out things. like what's expected is not going to get people excited. The question, the curiosity is what killed the cat. You know what I mean, so to speak. So all these Wildcat fans that are super curious about what is going on with Carter Bryant. Will he return? Will he go to the NBA? Is he going to even go through the draft process? Like, there are so many questions about it. I think they are waiting for the right moment to drop. If he's made his decision, they probably are just waiting for the right moment to drop the official announcement. As Erica says, Carter is probably just doing some Adobe Express tutorials, trying to make some hype videos. Yeah, it's a learning curve. As someone who didn't know much about the Adobe Suite when they started at this job, maybe they thought I knew a little more than I did. It's a learning curve to it.
You definitely always feel like you knew a little bit more than you did. So yeah, maybe Carter's like, damn, I really thought this video was gonna be sweet, but I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Trevor said right before Erica too that he's making a hype video, and that's what's taken so long. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. You know, it's obviously tongue in cheek that he's making the video, but I do think that there's like an extra kind of what's the word for it? Like, yeah, that works. But I was thinking like just kind of pageantry to the whole Carter Bryant re-signing, like that they're trying to cook up something special for it,
make
and really
it feel as big as it is,
and give it its own window for it to eat. But I certainly think that him being listed as a sophomore, I don't know if it's subconscious or not, Kevin, but that might have been the thing that made me start feeling like, oh, this is happening.
I would say that was the thing that made me feel this way. Like it was the thing that took. Like yesterday, I said it was a 60% chance. Today, it feels like it's an 80% chance. Like it was a genuine leap for me.
Yeah.
Because of him being listed as a sophomore, and again, things happen. Interns can make mistakes, or just student employees, whatever. Whoever's making the roster website can make mistakes and announce things sooner, or announce things that won't actually be happening because they're just trying to get their job done and play it safe, right? But it does feel like this is a decision that does not get made without someone checking off a list and saying, hey, is he for certain re-signed? Yes, check mark. Is he for certain coming back? Yes, check mark. And then you add them to the roster. Bryce James isn't on the roster for next season if you look at it. And I think that's also in part because you probably don't have Bryce James in the white Arizona jersey yet. Maybe you do, maybe you don't have that render.
Yeah.
But there's, like I said, there's a lot of things that can go into this kind of thing on the roster being listed that way. But it does feel like that's a decision that wouldn't be made so haphazardly. It wouldn't be made so, oh yeah, Carter Bryant will come back. Like it feels like that's maybe he's made the decision, or maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's he's leaning towards coming back, or maybe he hasn't. But it feels like that's what's happened there.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think that certainly seems to be the case. And hopefully, right? Like as Arizona fans, I think that's we talk about Tommy Lloyd with his like kind of pie in the sky way of building rosters. And I think it worked out in his favor last year for the most part, minus maybe like Will Riley, who committed to Illinois and had a really good season for Illinois, by the way, but it could have been part of this program. But other than that, like I really think that it kind of played out the way that Arizona was hoping it would last offseason. And this offseason, I think we're looking at more of the same, right? Other than maybe Henry Vasar leaving, which, I'm not really sure where Tommy's head out was with that and where the staff is. There's a chance, I guess, that, they prefer Krivas and Awaka to Vasar. I mean, I certainly would disagree with that. I think you would too, Kevin, but, I don't think that's out of the cards, right? So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at this roster. It's fairly close to set. You have much of the rotation back in the fold now. If we were to kind of do a quick little, recap, Kevin, of where we're at with this roster, where we do have the backup point guard now in Evan Nelson, which was a big hole that needed to be fulfilled within this program. And so we're looking at Jaden Bradley at the 1, Evan Nelson as his backup, right? Brayden Burries probably at the 2. Probably Dell'Orso as the backup at that 2 spot. Carter Bryant potentially at the 3, hopefully. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. I think Dell'Orso again as the backup for probably both of those wing spots. Or Aristode, I guess.
I was thinking Aristode for that 3
spot.
But
I was thinking Aristode might have to play a kind of a smaller 4, right? Because we don't really have that backup 4 option behind Koa Peat. And I think that's what you'll get. You'll get Aristode kind of playing that 3-4 spot, and you'll get ADO playing that 2-3 spot. as the primary backups in those positions. And then, of course, you have Koa Peat, as I said, as the starting power forward, and then a Krivas Awaka rotation as your centers. So I don't when I lay that all out for you, Kevin, is there any particular spot there that you think needs a little bit of extra additions to it? We've talked about yesterday the needed addition of a third big man in case of foul trouble and just for developing. But I think that is there any other position in that kind of too deep rotation that isn't that third center that you think Arizona could still use?
I'm not sure that there is, because I think if you add more, you're getting diminishing returns almost to an extent, because you do need to give Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, Dwayne Aristode, Carter Bryant, even to an extent if he does return, some runway to play.
Yeah,
you need to give them some runway to develop. So I think if you go out and you add maybe a scoring wing off the bench, whose minutes is that taking? It's taking Koa Peat's. It's taking Dwayne Aristode's. It's taking Carter Bryant's. And so I feel like you either believe in the cats you got right now and you try to supplant, get some supplemental bigs around them and do some things like that, or you ride with what you got. I think that this roster is in a place where you just need maybe one more tangential, should not be a true impact player type of player on this roster. Because like Trevor Begay said in the chat there, they also don't have Koa Peat and Brayden Burries listed on that roster. I believe also in part because of what I was alluding to earlier with Bryce James about how you just don't got them in that jersey yet. You don't have the official media day that has come and gone yet. So, yeah, I think the roster is in a really good place right now, Damon, in terms of wants and needs. I think you have 99% of your wants, and now you're just looking for the cherry on top of your milkshake. You would drink your milkshake without a cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be a damn good experience consuming that thing.
But so it would be better with the cherry.
It would be better with the cherry. And you could sell it with a cherry. You know what you can't do? You can't just give out milkshakes with no dressing on top, no garnish, no none. I mean, you can, but your business is going to do better. Business is going to be booming if you're giving out some garnishes, some crushed almonds, some cherries, some chocolate fudge dressing on top.
I think we're a little too deep into this.
And that's what you need. You need to go get a developmental big for your almonds on the top of your milkshake to get to the Final Four. Because it does take some cashews, some almonds, some nuts to make it to the Final Four.
Pause. Yeah. So, we're looking at. I'll tell you what I think, Kevin. Could you be interested in like a Paulie M, who obviously played at St. Mary's, that type of profile? Maybe a more developmental stretch big man. They could just kind of give you a different look, I think, coming off of the bench, and a guy that you perceive would stick around for a couple years. I know that Paulie M also obviously took off after a season at Arizona and didn't play for us really at all. But I do think that a guy that you could have buy in on, you're going to be the succession plan to a Koa Peat. Koa Peat's only going to be here for one season, and we know that for a fact. He's going to go league. You can, play 12 minutes, 15 minutes a game next year, and then the year after that, we're going to, we'll look at you as a starter if you perform admirably. So I feel like that kind of profile could be potentially an addition to this team, and I would be pretty hyped up about getting a guy like that, just because I think it obviously switches up our play style even more, where we have these contrasting profiles from our center spot. It'd be great to get that from our power forward spot as well. And then Tommy can really just use all the chess pieces when it comes to, the way that he wants to play in any particular game. Right.
Yeah. I think you're right on the money with that. When you talk about, can you interest me in a guy like that, a stretch big? I think that's the only kind of real big you can interest me in right now from a roster point in Arizona. Quite frankly, unless there's something I'm missing, I don't think Arizona needs another Krivas, right? And as good as Krivas, I'm not saying literally they don't need another Matias Krivas. Maybe 2 Matias Krivases would be fun. I don't know. But you get my point. Like, they don't need another slower, more, boots on the ground kind of big. They need a big that can move, that can give you different looks like you were alluding to, that can make a defense or offense have to scheme differently, have to react differently.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be, all right, plug Krivas in for the other guy that plays like Krivas, and that way the other team can do the exact same thing. I think you do need a little bit of variation. I think it's what helped Arizona a lot last season, was having the difference between Vesar to Tobe to Townsend, even though Townsend obviously wasn't really a true big and didn't really play up to his standard and Arizona's standard for much of the season, but that's neither here nor there. Like, you need that third guy to cause some variance, to cause some disruption with the other team. Even a team like Duke, who I think of like a Patrick Ngongba, who like wasn't the most highly heralded guy on Duke's team. Very talented player, very good rim protector, kind of gave you a little bit of a mix up from Kaman Maluak, right? So I think just having a guy that can vary your flavors a little bit, going back to the milkshake thing, helps you out when it comes to tournament time. And just when you're playing in conference and you got to play teams a couple times over the course of a year, you got to throw different looks. You can't just come out and be the same team. You got to evolve over the course of the season, and having more talented players, especially at the big position, that can help you out with that, especially when Krivas might not be the most skilled, like just straight up skilled bigs on the team. So yeah, I think that's the one thing that I would identify. I see Mike in the chat saying a twitchy rim runner to contrast the Yao Ming style center that Big Mo is. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're identifying here. You want almost like a Kashad Johnson type. Like a guy that's just going to play 1,000 miles a minute and play really damn hard, play good defense, and be a rim runner on offense.
Yeah, I love Kashad Johnson's profile, and you know, I thought that's the type of player that I think gets you in late deep tournament runs, right? And I have some disagreement maybe with Tommy and staff about you know, kind of what Krivas brings to the table in terms of that, but I think that's exactly why you need to switch it up and why you need those type of players. I do think Koa Peat provides that. I think Koa Peat is a much better version of Kashad Johnson. Like if I was like putting it in a, you know, because like Koa Peat can create a shot a lot more, obviously has a lot more potential, but
can facilitate too a little bit.
Yeah, I do think that like you can kind of compare their athletic profiles a little bit, just in terms of what they want to do. But I want to shout out everybody that's here in the chat. Kevin, Icy Mike, of course, holding it down, saying that your milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard.
And they're like, it's better than yours. Anyway.
Something to think about, something to chew on. We also have KW
you're
in here.
Chewing on your milkshake. What are we doing?
KW in here. I mean, you're the one that's talking about putting a bunch of nuts on the milkshake.
I mean, as garnish.
You don't chew nuts?
As garnish.
You don't chew nuts.
What I'm saying as garnish.
You swallow them whole.
This is crazy. We need to relax on this conversation. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Please leave a like.
I need to relax on this conversation. You brought it up and I've been talking about it for 10 minutes.
I'm saying we. I think we've reached a point.
That felt like a very pointed we.
No, it was a we. It was genuinely a we. I think the metaphor has gone, the analogy has gone too far. I think we need to reel it back in here a little bit. But yeah, no, as Damon was saying, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Mike holding it down, Erica, Trevor, Rick, KW, Trevor Begay as well, Alec, Michael, everybody in the chat. If you are here, please leave a like. Let us know. Yeah, I see Mike saying pause. Damon and I have more to talk about in regards to Arizona. I wanted to talk to Damon a little bit about the re-signing verbiage, these graphics going around, because I have a bit of a gear to grind, a grind to gear, whatever you want to call it, on the other side of this break. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere. Well, Damon, our friends over at Sanderson Ford are bringing employee pricing to you. Let me say that one more time. Employee pricing. You don't get that anywhere else. Ford just announced the From America for America employee pricing. Now you pay what he pays. That's David Kimmerell, president of America's most awarded Ford dealership, Sanderson Ford. Yeah, you're getting the president's price. I'm just letting you know, anytime you get the same price on something as your boss, you got to take advantage of that. Employee pricing levels the playing field for Ford dealers, and everyone gets the same set price. However, other dealers will still add addendums and add-ons. Sanderson Ford will not do that. They will do none of that. Sanderson Ford, because you got to choose them, they have the inventory of 70 years of reputation, treating you right. Ford is undeniably the most America-first automaker in the world. 80% of vehicles Ford sells are assembled in factories located in America. They will be less affected by all this tariff nonsense. So you can choose American, can support American production here by choosing Sanderson Ford, which is ever important by the day. real quick disclaimer, this excludes 2025 Expedition, 2025 Super Duty, Raptors, Mustang, and Bronco specialty vehicles. But now is the best time to buy a new Ford with From America, for America employee pricing. Check out our friends over at Sanderson Ford.
Sanderson Ford, a great company, and of course, the Arbiters, me and Kevin here, we're basically Sanderson Ford employees, but and I think they would give us the pricing year round, but right now you could take advantage of that employee pricing this month. Another thing you can take advantage of is hitting up our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, because as it starts to get hotter in the valley, Kevin, there is no better place to cool down and hang out than at a Gila River Resort and Casino. 4 locations, of course, my favorite being the Wild Horse Pass location, where we will be hosting our draft party, our PHNX Cardinals draft party, a week from Thursday. Make sure you guys get those tickets now. And if you are a diehard, you will get a discounted price on those tickets. We'll talk about that here in a second, Kevin. But getting back to Gila River Resorts and Casinos, it is just an absolutely electric place to hang out. They got the pool, they got the concert venue, they got all the live table games, of course, and slots that you could desire. And that's why we love our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Just a great time, great place to go hang out. And I will be there with my guy Derek some point this summer. We're going to make it happen. Maybe Kevin, maybe we'll invite him too. And we're going to have an electric time.
Maybe.
But as we already talked about, or as I just mentioned, Kevin, we have a diehard sale going on right now. So if you're interested in this draft party, here's what I'm going to implore you to do. If you have any interest in coming to our PHNX Cardinals draft party, seeing where T-Mac gets drafted, maybe potentially Jonah as well. I don't know if he could sneak his way into the first round. We have a deal going on right now, a $36 diehard sale. And with this sale, you're going to get discounted tickets to all of our events, including the draft party a week from Thursday. And it's Kevin, it's going to save you so much money that you might as well just take advantage of it, because you're also going to get yourself a free t-shirt in the process. You're going to get 20% off all future events and merch as well. But that 20% off that draft party is going to be a huge difference for you and really make that thing worth it. But it is just $36, Kevin, to become a diehard, a PHNX diehard here. $36. That's right, guys. That is $3 a month. $3 a month to become a diehard, and it's hard to beat that. You, of course, get access to our Discord lounge with me and Kevin, where we'll be chatting it up, talking Arizona sports with everybody.
All the takes that we probably shouldn't let fly on this show, we let fly in the Discord.
Yeah, no filter on the Discord. Yeah. I definitely let it fly a little bit more. And then, of course, with the draft coming up, you get access to Fran Duffy's Die Hard Draft Guide, which has over 150 player profiles in it.
Unbelievable.
It is the most inclusive draft guide you will find out there in the business. Throw those, maybe more, like the ESPNs, the NFL Network guys, like they're not going to give you the specified look that you're looking for. That's what Fran Duffy's here for, and that draft guide is absolutely exquisite. So make sure you get in on that. Of course, ad-free access to our website, and then you get, and this is the bell of the ball here, Kevin. You get a $35 T-shirt for free with this $36 purchase. So
you're telling me I get a membership for $36, and I get a $35 T-shirt in addition to that?
That's exactly what I'm telling you, Kevin. You get a $35 T-shirt when you pay $36. It's essentially you're paying for the T-shirt and you're paying $1 extra for all of the other added benefits that we give you here at PHNX. It is a great deal.
I also wanted to add in that we are currently workshopping, ideating, putting together a mock draft tracker for everybody at home. That would mean that if you are concerned about or want to check in on any Arizona player that could go in the NFL or NBA draft, we are working on a tracker that should be up sometime in the near future here to make sure that you can make sure you know where Big Jonah's going, where T-Mac is supposed to go, where Carter Bryant potentially could go, and even if Caleb Love sneaks into that second round, you're going to know about it. So yeah, definitely become a diehard today. We're trying to make it all worth your while, and it already is. If you missed out on our golf event, that was fun too. So yeah, all types of cool stuff going on in Die Hard land, Damon.
Erica says here, $36 for harassing us in the Discord. It's an absolute steal. And it's a great point, Erica. Of course, Erica, the host of our PHNX Mercury pod. So if you're interested in the Merc a little bit and you want to talk some women's hoops with Erica, That's another good avenue for doing so. But of course, we have our Cardinals, our Suns, our D-backs coverage, our just gross, disgusting Sun Devils coverage as well. You can go listen. You're not excluded from that chat. You can go in there and just kind of put some fuel on the fire when ASU's in a bad spot. That's always a fun thing to do in that diehard chat. So, yeah, make sure you guys become a diehard. Take advantage of that sale while you can. Kevin, we were going to talk about some of the returners that are coming back, and Tommy Lloyd just kind of getting his Avengers assembled here. And so, we've obviously, we talked about it having right before yesterday's show, Jaden Bradley returning. Arizona gets his point guard back. Anthony Dell'Orso returned, which I think is kind of a big deal because Anthony Dell'Orso is clearly not coming back to be a prominent piece of the team. I think that's a guy that if he was less bought in, you'd see enter the transfer portal for a bigger role elsewhere, maybe at a smaller school. But instead, I think, Dell'Orso's priorities are contributing to Tommy Lloyd's roster and what would be hopefully a winning roster. So I think you got to love that from a mentality standpoint. And then similarly with Tobe Awaka, that's another guy that could probably go somewhere else, could make more money somewhere else, could definitely play more minutes somewhere else, but he seems locked in. And so you have, 3 returners coming back in that regard. You also have Krivas returning. And that one is a little bit more of a mystery because we didn't get to see him play as much last season. But yeah, Kevin, how are you feeling about these 4 players returning, all announced in the last week here?
Feeling great, feeling good. I'll talk about that in a second, but I wanted to start by having a broader discussion about these re-signed graphics that Arizona basketball has been posting, Damon. By no means am I trying to disparage any of these people or any of the things like that, but ADO returning, yeah, make a graphic for that. Tobe re-signing, yeah, make a graphic for that. JB, probably you're potentially one of your best players on the team last season, and yeah, make a re-sign graphic for that because he probably, like I said earlier, with Vesar, could have went and got his bag. This morning, Damon, I don't know if you saw Matthias Krivas, or maybe yesterday afternoon, got a re-signed graphic posted from the Arizona basketball account, and I just have a question. What's the point of these re-sign graphics? Where's my Jackson Reed Francois re-signed graphic? Because he's coming back next year.
Disrespectful.
Does he not reach the bar of a re-sign graphic? Because nobody was going to take Matthias Krivas. What are we talking about? He was never leaving. What? I don't know. It blew my mind because I'm just like, if everybody gets one, let's give everybody one. I want it to mean something. I want to see that graphic on social media and be like, damn right, we got JB back. Damn right, if in the other world, we got Vesar back. Because that's what it should be. It should be, this player went in the transfer portal or was thinking of testing the transfer portal or the NBA draft and didn't. They actually re-signed with Arizona. Let's go, bear down. Let's get some hype going. Matthias Krivas was staying in Tucson the whole time. Probably extended his lease halfway through March Madness. I don't understand the re-signed graphic for a guy that was never gonna leave. It blows my mind, and I feel like it kills the hype of these re-signed graphics because everybody gets them, except I guess Jackson Francois and Jackson Arnold. Like, I don't understand it. But yeah, water is wet, sky is blue. Matthias Krivas is going to be an Arizona Wildcat next season. To answer your actual question, Damon, that you actually posed to me, I think it's huge that you get a guy.
I want to cut you off for a second. That was nasty, Kevin.
How?
And I'm a nasty guy, and I'm kind of probably the world's most renowned Mo Krivas hater, I think, as things currently stand. Like, I feel like I'm lower on him than almost everybody. But he's a scholarship player. He's going to be potentially a starter next season. You're comparing him to the walk-ons, brother?
But I'm not comparing him from a player standpoint. I'm comparing it from like a known outcome point. He
could leave.
He could have. Yeah, any player could leave.
Henry Vesar left. I would have told you, hell no, that would have happened.
Okay, fine. But I'm saying, like, make graphics for the players that actually re-sign and like actually are on the verge of not re-signing and actually make it mean something. I'm not talking about him as a player. I'm not talking about them as people. I'm talking about the graphic meaning something. And if literally everybody gets a re-sign graphic, then everybody should get a re-sign graphic that actually agreed to terms and did the thing. Or just do a big old team photo. I don't care.
I actually would prefer that option, and that's what I was just about to say.
These are our returners for the 2025-26
I don't want
season.
any of it.
Yeah.
I think it's garbage. Re-signed. He's on our team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was never leaving.
But
Vassar at least made himself money last season. Krivas spent the whole season on the bench, injured. Very unfortunate situation. Neither here nor there. He was either I don't know. Like, if I'm like, I don't know. If Emmanuel Steffen came back, make the re-sign graphic. That's a guy who was talking to other teams.
Now you lost me again.
No, but I'm saying make the graphic mean something. A player that was about to leave comes back. That's a thing.
You don't know what conversations Krivas and his agent are having behind the scenes with people. He could be talking to other schools.
He could be.
I guess I'll push back on you're being like, I'm hyped for a Jaden Bradley graphic. I'm hyped for Anthony Dell'Orso or a Tobe Awaka graphic. Less ADO.
All three of those players more likely to leave than Krivas. Fact.
You think?
Fact. JB could have went to a lesser school, got a bigger bag for sure. I'm certain. Right. ADO. I think there's a situation where last year plays out and maybe he thinks to himself, mate, that wasn't my level. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you on
he
ADO.
goes somewhere else. Tobe as well showed himself as one of the best rebounders in the country after his time at Tennessee. Maybe he goes. Honestly, I would have assumed that he would have went the Vassar route before Vassar did. I would have assumed he would have capitalized on that bag before Vassar did, judging by the fact that I don't know if Tobe Awaka is an NBA guy. You know what I mean? So I think maybe, I don't know. My point is, those are all three players that I think you could make the case for them transferring out. Krivas, it's like, dude, you have to come back next year to make a market for yourself.
I guess I'll disagree in the fact that I think that, like, there are plenty of players who do not play the season before and then use that opportunity to then transfer the next season.
That's true.
Rather than, like, especially at Arizona basketball, like a guy like Jaden Bradley who's not going to join the league, you never really experience, like, I mean, the transfer portal hasn't been around for very long, Kevin. So it's not like this. I'm dealing with a huge sample size here. But Henry Vassar was the first guy who left Arizona for a quote unquote better opportunity, right? Like KJ Lewis left because he wants a bigger role, and he knew he wasn't going to get that role at Arizona, and he's going to go play for a worse team for that, right? But Vassar is going to have the same role hypothetically that he would have at Arizona at UNC, maybe even a little bit more minutes. Definitely more money, definitely more national prominence. I think that the guys that leave Arizona are way more typically the guys who don't get playing time and are looking for it rather than the guys who have the playing time and already and are planning on playing another college basketball season. So I understand what you're saying. Like where's this guy's leverage in terms of it's his signing? But I just think that in a way you could argue that even might make him more likely to leave. The fact that he didn't play last season, granted with Vassar leaving, I think that kind of opened up that door for Krivas definitely to come back. But yeah, I mean, I do get what you're saying. Overall, I think that all of it's pretty stupid.
It's
Alec
gross.
makes the point that I think is the truth. Like they got to recruit their own players, and it's just a way to boost the engagement of the social media account and get the fans hyped up. And yeah, that's entirely the case, but. It's still annoying being like, oh, look, our senior point guard who's been here for 3 years is re-signed. Nice. It's like, yeah, I would hope so.
It's like Damon next month if I come into the office and I sit down with Shane and Espo, excuse me, and I just go, hey, guys, I want to let you know, I'm going to cover next football season. I'm going to be on the podcast with Damon doing post-game shows for football. Awesome. That was what we expected. That is your job. I'm glad we're on the same page here. Yeah. Let's continue with our Monday. Like, you know what I mean? It is one of those things that we're in a new era, and we're not old men, Damon, you and I. We're still young bucks, but
damn it, old head.
Damn it, I feel old talking about NIL and transfer stuff because re-signing of players is crazy to me, especially when there is no transparency in terms of who actually could and could not leave. In terms of is there a market for some guys. So you go into an NBA season, you're thinking, Oh, Damon, he's a free agent after this season, though. We probably have to re-sign him, or his contract expires after next season.
I wish I had leverage like that, man.
We got to re-sign him. You know what I mean? As Damon is the unk. But like,
on this show, I am.
Yeah, you are.
With Kevin's young ass.
You know what's crazy is that, like, if you watch this show, and obviously most people in the chat, now you're our friends and family. But when you first tuned into this show, chat, there's no way that you thought Damon and I were the ages that we are, right? I look old as hell.
I got a couple high school kid shouts when we first started this show, so I don't know. I agree. You look older than 24.
You have the good one, though. You have the one where when you're 40, you're going to look 32, and everyone's going to be like, wow, man, you look great. I have the thing where I look 32 now, and when I'm 50, they're going to be like, you got the will, man?
I don't know about that.
Have you started planning your will yet? Like, no, damn it, I'm 50.
I just think it's a facial hair thing. I think it's the big beard, Kevin.
It is the big beard.
I think that's really all it came down to. I mean, Kevin was sporting that guy at 23 when he started this show. You know, makes people think, you know, he's more of like a 28-year-old probably. Meanwhile, like I had like a mustache when we started the show, and everybody was like, "Get this high school kid off of my YouTube. I hate this guy." Is what it is, man.
Did this kid just sign to go to Arizona?
I do look 13, I see, Mike.
Did he just get admitted into the school? Is he a senior in high school? When's prom, buddy? But anyway.
Next semester.
Damon and I have more to talk about on the other side of this break. I wanted to shout out Daniel Handy. He had a good question about Andre Iguodala's son that we actually do have some updates about. We're going to talk about that right after this quick commercial break on the AZ Wildcats podcast. I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Cornbread Hemp, America's first ever, that's right, first ever USDA organic THC gummy. Their mission is to improve your quality of life with the highest quality hemp. How selfless is that? It's your healthy happy hour, powered by Cornbread Hemp, a natural, healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. After I saw that Matthias Privas graphic, I needed me a Cornbread Hemp edible. One was not available at the time, though, because, you know, you can't just have it everywhere. You can't have it everywhere, but Cornbread Hemp, at the end of my day, is how I use to have a natural little happy, healthy hour. Just 10 milligrams will do the trick. It's just the right dose. Cornbread uses no harsh solvents like petrochemicals and industrial acids, unlike most hemp THC products. And you probably didn't even know that petrochemicals and industrial acids were in some other THC products. And now you do. And now you can be smarter and healthier and happier by using our friends over at Cornbread Hemp. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. As a special offer for our listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX. Use promo code PHNX at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com, PHNX as the promo code for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour.
Kevin, I know you love yourself some Cornbread Hemp, and we've talked about this combo before, but nothing like, you know, indulging in a little bit of cannabis and then heading over to Circle K, checking out that snack section. It is America's thirst stop, so you know they got all the beverages, all the great beverages over there at Circle K. And of course, I'm an Inner Circle Rewards member. Kevin is as well. Kevin, congratulations. You are a premium member of the Inner Circle. It took a long time, but we are finally here. If you're going to sign up right now, if you haven't done so already, you're going to get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups at the gas station when you need gas. And then after that, you're going to get 3 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up until you hit that premium membership like me, like Kevin, like a lot of people here at PHNX. And you will get 5 cents off per gallon every time that you fill up. It's a beautiful deal. And of course, they have other member exclusive deals and discounts that you won't want to miss out on at the Inner Circle. It is so easy to sign up. Download the app. It takes 2 minutes. Put in your information and bang, that's all it takes. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
You know, Damon, real quick, before we get back to our show, I wanted to shout out to Circle K real quick. Might get a little emotional. Getting 5 cents off per gallon every fill up. Chat, do you know what that means to a guy like me?
It adds up, man.
I want to thank Max.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for pushing me as hard as you did to get into that category, David, because damn it, I get 5 cents off per gallon now.
Tough coaching.
No, yeah, very
Some
tough
people
coaching.
respond to tough coaching, and I called Kevin a loser every day for not being a premium member of the Inner Circle until
And now look at me.
I inspired him to go spend more money at the gas tank and become a premium member.
Look at me now.
Now look at you. You're on top of the mountain, Kevin.
On top of the 5 cents off per gallon mountain, Damon. And I couldn't be happier with that. Also, we do have some news and notes for the, people that care about heritage and tradition, because Gilbert Arenas' son is going to USC, and
yuck.
Yeah, yuck. But he's not the only Arizona great.
Although Arizona kind of seems like they seemingly allowed
give
that.
The shove. Yeah, they did kind of give the 2-hand backwards push towards USC with that one. But regardless, you still...
Can we talk about that for a second? What a ballsy move by Tommy.
We talked about that in the moment.
I know,
I totally agree.
Like, I just got to go back to it. Like, this is... we talk about Kevin, like, it seems like he has this idea of what he wants his roster to look like, and he sticks to it. He doesn't compromise. He clearly valued Brayden Burries higher than Elijah Arenas, and he said, I don't care that Elijah Arenas is going to announce before Brayden Burries. I don't care that, the fan base is going to jump on me and be like, this guy can't recruit anybody. Because that was before Koa Peat as well. And that was when they're, the only high school recruit in the fold was Bryce James, who obviously isn't a big recruit. So I think you're looking at, Tommy like really put his namesake on the line there, especially with this fan base, because the people that like KW in the chat who just don't like Tommy, they're going to look at Elijah Arenas committing elsewhere and be like, how did you let this happen? This is an Arizona legend. And it's like, well, because Tommy kind of wanted it to happen that way, right? And I just got to say that takes some guts.
It does. It really does take some guts. You and I, like I said, we talked about it in the moment, but like just Tommy Lloyd knows how much fans care about this program. Tommy Lloyd knows how much fans care about, for lack of a better phrase, things looking good.
Yeah.
Fans want things to look good at all times. They want to feel like they are in motion towards a national championship at all times, or else, honestly, they lose a little bit of faith in Tommy Lloyd. Whether that's sane, whether that's insane, or not, is neither here nor there. But I think Tommy Lloyd knows the expectations from whether it be the diehard Arizona fan or the casual Arizona fan are here. They are sky high. And so for him to take that chance, for him to say, you know what? Not only do I think Brayden Burries is the more Big 12 ready player, not only do I think that Brayden Burries is the guy that I want, I am going to take the risk of foregoing recruitment on Elijah Arenas, who is a, prodigal son of the program, and whatever you want to call it, whatever hyperboles or what's the superlatives you want to throw Elijah Arenas' way. It is incredibly gutsy of Tommy Lloyd to do that. It shows how confident he is in his recruiting, how confident he is in TJ Benson, how confident he is in Murph, like how confident he is in his entire staff, Ken Nakagawa. Like, Tommy Lloyd clearly believes in his staff.
Yeah.
And I think that this offseason should serve as a reminder to people that Tommy Lloyd is the right choice for this job. Not only is he the right choice for this job, but he can pick a pretty good assistant coaching group as well, because they're able to go out and secure Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, Bryce James.
Yeah.
And hell, if they're able to convince Carter Bryant to come back, I know that's like not really more them convincing him to come back as much as it is him weighing his options and making his own decision as a person. But you get my point here. Being a desirable spot is not just a Tommy Lloyd thing. It's across the board with the coaching staff. So it's incredibly gutsy. Credit to the coaching staff for executing it as well as they did. And yeah, very, very excited to see, because now, last year it was a bit of a joke, right? The running comparison that of Caleb Love and Joe Sansanin, right? Like just the joke of like, oh, what, you're going to pick that guy over this guy, right? But now, honestly, like I think Arizona fans, I'll say it's going to be fun to watch and compare Brayden Burries and Elijah Arenas and just kind of see how they're doing at the college level.
Certainly.
Like, I'm not saying it's going to be Elijah Arenas is balling tonight, what's Brayden Burries got to do?
It's not
I'm not
rivalry.
saying it's like that. Exactly. It's not like that. But it is going to be interesting to see, like, all right, you chose your horse in this race. Let's let him race now and see whose horse wins. Like, I think that's going to be interesting from a fan's perspective, Damon, in terms of the Elijah Arenas and Brayden Burries thing.
You talked about Tommy's staff, and this is actually one thing that we have forgotten to mention on this show, Kevin, is Steve Robinson retiring.
Yeah.
And there's an opening on Tommy's staff. Steve Robinson, obviously really close with Caleb Love. Feels like that is kind of in conjunction with Caleb Love, maybe, leaving Arizona, and Steve Robinson being like, maybe it's my time to, I don't know if he's planning on straight retiring and just, kind of kicking back. That's what I would do. But some of these dudes are wired different, right? Like that's why they are in the spots that they are. They're obsessed with the game.
They're lifers.
Exactly. So, it's possible he moves on somewhere else. I think right now it's being deemed as retirement. But that just opens up another spot for Tommy Lloyd. And it also, he did all this recruiting without that guy in the fold for the most part, which is pretty impressive as well. Daniel makes a good point. Like Tommy coached a lot of these kids on the USA under 18. Same exact thing that Sean Miller was doing back in the day. Coaching the USA team, getting a good look at these high school prospects and building relationships with them beforehand. Honestly, just incredible that Arizona, 2 coaches in a row, Kevin, has been able to kind of find their way into that space with how good of coaches that they are. In reality, like Sean Miller and Tommy Lloyd have earned that, right? But it's awesome as an Arizona fan to have that added benefit of like getting to know these high school kids a little bit better. And Tommy is so the type of coach, Kevin, where I feel like you play for him and you're like, damn, I'd love to play for this guy. Like if you're playing on the USA team with them, you're probably like, this guy's freaking sweet, man.
He's looking over at you in the huddle going, you got to be tough. You got to be tough.
Well,
slapping you on the thigh.
No, because that's the first time he's ever done that in his entire life. So we know for a fact he's never done that before. But I just think that it's such an added benefit from a recruiting standpoint. It helps this program out so much, and it's great that Tommy has found himself in that way as well. Similarly to Sean Miller, Michael asks here, what are our realistic expectations for Bryce James in year 1? Kevin, I'll let you start.
I'm gonna spend the first 10 seconds of my question looking up the Bryce James growth spurt because I think he just recently hit another growth spurt. But again, that is potentially cap. I could be wrong on that.
I'll let you research it. Do you want a quick second? I can go first.
No, it's good because it doesn't matter. Either way, I think that Bryce James, realistically, year 1 is playing like a Conrad Martinez kind of role on next year's team, where if Arizona is comfortable in a game or Arizona is in a tough game that Tommy Lloyd likes a matchup and thinks that, hey, we need a different look, we need a refresher, let's throw Conrad out there. I think you supplant that with Bryce James. I know they play a different position. I know that they have different physical frames, but from a minutes perspective, from a role perspective, I think that's kind of when he gets tossed into games. I think he will get clock. I don't think it'll be a lot, but I think we will have multiple Bryce James sightings upcoming this season. And I think he can look decent when he plays. Like I think in a small role like that, likely playing against the other team's number 2s. Like I think that Bryce James can develop, and by the end of the season, maybe even fans start clamoring for him a little bit more coming off the bench. But yeah, I think realistic expectations are very low, developmental focused, and you just want to see the right things, and maybe he can fill out a little bit by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'll be a little bit more disrespectful in my take, but I think it's truthful and honest. I think he's going to be kind of a glorified walk-on, especially as a freshman, and we'll see kind of how that role develops for him over time. But he's just frankly not an Arizona caliber player at this moment in time, and he has the family lineage and he has the size to be a contributor. I think at this level, I worry a little bit about his athleticism, Kevin, even though he is LeBron's son and, arguably the most athletic athlete
Bronny got the
ever
bounce.
seen.
Bronny got the bounce.
Bronny has the bounce, but Bryce is obviously taller. So yeah, that makes it, I don't necessarily know what to expect from Bryce James long term, but in year 1, I certainly don't think that he will be contributing much, if at all. I think he's definitely more of a throw in at the end of halves, as AZ Catch G says here. When Arizona has themselves a little bit more of a lead going, and I think that's kind of where we're expecting out of Bryce James. But I also think that we shouldn't diminish the role that Bryce James had in putting this class together, because I think that puzzle piece was extremely important.
He was the first domino.
It really was. And I think that relationship, maintaining that relationship, building that relationship is what got Arizona in large part in the position that it is now with these high level recruits. Trevor, I kind of disagree with you. I think Bronny was I think the reason Bronny was, especially from year one, and I know Bronny averaged, the notorious 3 points per game at USC and what everybody likes to bring up, right? But Bronny had the ability to be a high-level defender from the moment he stepped on campus at USC. And Bryce, I don't think, has the athleticism to do that. So now you're going to need offensive development, and then we're just not there yet as a prospect, right? I don't know if you disagree with any of that, Kevin, but that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, if Bryce had Bronny's defensive chops, I'd be much higher on his ability to even contribute in year one. I think that he would, maybe get thrown out there from time to time when there was some foul trouble because he'd be trusted on the defensive end of the floor. But currently, I think that his offensive game needs to be rounded out, and his defensive game is just not at the ceiling that you could expect out of a Bronny.
Yeah, I think thinking back to evaluating Bronny as a high school product and as a freshman in college, I remember thinking to myself, his athleticism is going to carry him in moments when his skill doesn't. I think Bryce is the opposite. I think Bryce, if he's going to succeed, it's going to be his brains, it's going to be his ability on the court, and less so his athleticism. Also, Icy Mike brings up a good point. Bronny also did have a near-death cardiac experience throughout throughout the middle of his prime development in college. So there's also that. But yeah, I think Bryce is, at this point when Bronny was playing, I think Bryce is probably the more skilled player. But I don't think his athleticism pairs up to the next level the same way that a Bronny's did and does.
I think he's a better shooter than Bronny, he's a better shooter than Bronny was at this same stage. I think he's more skilled.
I think overall, I think, and that's my opinion. I think he's.
I don't know if he dribbles better. This is a very macro, right, outlook on. We always do this.
Micro zooming in, macro zooming out.
Yeah, very macro outlook of Bryce James's game. Kevin and I aren't scouts, and we haven't sat down and watched a ton of Sierra Canyon high school basketball games, but from things that we're watching and just kind of looking at them in clips and whatnot, I do think that Bryce has a good stroke. I think that that's something that we can build off of. But yeah, I just think in year one, that's too much to ask for out of him. I don't expect much out of him in year one.
And also Daniel, in response to the Aristode,
very true.
He was first, but I think
it happened so long before everybody else.
I think in terms of the impact of getting a Koa Peat and a Brayden Burries. How do I phrase this? Dwayne Aristode being on the roster, I don't think was the main draw for a Koa Peat or Brayden Burries, but I do think their agencies being in bed with Arizona because of the Bryce James thing. That's kind of more so what we're talking about when we're talking about dominoes going towards recruiting, because we know Tommy Lloyd can get high-level recruits. We know Tommy Lloyd can go out and get a Dwayne Aristode, and Dwayne Aristode might be incredible. I'm super high on Dwayne Aristode, especially from a defensive standpoint, from a frame standpoint. He's built pretty much the exact same as Carter Bryant, and I think he's better defensively day one than Carter Bryant was last season. I agree that Aristode is highly touted, but I think having that clutch connection sets you up for. And this is kind of irregardless of quality. It sets you up for some of the most high-profile recruits in the nation every year to start looking at Arizona. And not like they weren't already, but to start looking at Arizona as one of the first places above a Duke, above a North Carolina, because of the agency connection. And I think nowadays, as unfortunate as it is, whether Dwayne Aristode was the first recruit in or the last recruit in, I think the clutch connection was the biggest thing to happen this recruiting cycle for Arizona, because it netted you Bryce James, it netted you Koa Peat, and it netted you Brayden Burries all in one 3-month span. So I think, while again super high on Dwayne Aristode, if we're talking about the first domino to make this recruiting class, I guess literally the first domino is Dwayne Aristode. That's probably a poor analogy, but what really set it off, what really was the big boom, was, I think, getting that clutch relationship involved.
For sure. Definitely. I think that's fair, but I also think it's fair to say that, people are overlooking Dwayne Aristode, this show included.
Agreed.
And we're going to do, I think, as we get into the offseason even more here, Kevin, we're going to try to deep dive on Dwayne Aristode and hopefully, maybe do something similar like we did with Koa Peat, maybe try to get a coach of his on and really just talk about Dwayne Aristode's game, because I do feel like it's such a, I don't want to say a mystery, but it's such an under talked about type of thing that Arizona fans, I think, need to be definitely a little bit more hyped up about Dwayne Aristode and what he's bringing to the table here, because he's an extremely high-level prospect, 5-star on 24/7, one of the highest 4-stars on the composite, which is a combination of all of them. So definitely gonna have to buckle down and talk a little bit more Dwayne Aristode as we move forward here. But just getting back to Bryce James a little bit. What position does he play? He's a wing. I think he's 6'4" listed. So I think you're looking at a shooting guard, small forward. Arizona likes to run a lot of 3-guard lineups. So kind of that similar size to maybe like a KJ Lewis type of guy, but obviously KJ a lot more athletic than a Bryce James. So and I think that's kind of where he was able to contribute right away. Kevin, if you are watching with our streaming partners, head on over to gophnx.com. We're going to continue this conversation, talk a little bit of softball, and round things out. But first, we will be going to
overtime. We have returned from regulation, and we are now in overtime, ladies and gentlemen. Who would have thought, Damon? Look at us. Who would have thought? In overtime on a Tuesday. What else is new? But we were talking about Bryce James, and we were teasing it earlier, but I think we should talk about Andre Iguodala's son. He went on a visit. I know some people earlier in the chat were saying that it seems like it's just NAU and U of A that are in on him so far. That is no longer the case. Andre Iguodala, as you can see here, Andre Iguodala II is on an official visit to Baylor, where obviously he took some photos with the family and did the whole visit thing. But Damon, how do you feel about Iguodala taking a visit to another Big 12 contender?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? Especially with just kind of the general vibe around Arizona players and their kids, their former Arizona players and their kids going to the school in terms of Elijah Arenas, and we have Jason Gardner Jr., who's a 4-star, who's coming up in the fold here. Jason Gardner obviously on staff, but I do find it's interesting that he's a 2025 commit, because there hasn't been a lot of smoke around Andre Iguodala II here. And if you look at his profile, only NAU is his only offer right now. But did obviously visit Baylor. Another guy who, and by the way, Kevin, another guy who plays for Link Academy in Branson, Missouri. Not kidding. He's like,
how does this keep sneaking past me?
He's definitely not one of the biggest prospects that they have, but
how in the hell?
Link Academy is an absolute factory of college basketball talent right now.
I'm gonna have to ask Shane. I know it's not technically like a Arizona related direct thing, but I need to do a damn breakdown of this Link Academy nonsense. Because Branson, Missouri, I'm with it. We take those. We take those all day. But that is Andre Iguodala II out there in Branson, Missouri. How the hell does that happen?
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, isn't Iguodala isn't he a California guy?
I'm saying IMG exists. It's in Florida on a beach.
He's from Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, whoa.
Andre Iguodala.
What?
Yeah.
So maybe he was born there, moved to Cali, because I thought he was from California.
I don't know. That's what AI Google told me. You never know.
And if AI Google tells you it's got to be true.
I'm sure that he's a California resident, but that's what's odd about that, right? Is that Andre Iguodala II is just living in Missouri?
He went to high school in Springfield, Illinois at Lanphier High School, and then went to the University of Arizona.
I'm saying right now, I'm sure he's a California resident.
Yeah. Sorry. I got sidetracked on some of the background stuff. I really thought he was a California dude this whole time.
Me too.
But don't know where I got that idea from, considering Springfield, Illinois couldn't be further from, the beaches of the Bay. But maybe it's because he played for Golden State for so long, and he probably did adopt that, and he played at U of A So you assume like, oh, he must be from the West Coast. Anyway, his son.
It makes a little bit more sense when you factor in that Iguodala was not supposed to come to Arizona. He was supposed to go to Arkansas, which is way more in that neck of the woods.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah, and Richardson, I believe Nolan Richardson was let go, so he was able to get out of his letter of intent and loot, quickly, kind of picked up the crumbs there. But
also, it is a top vacation destination in Missouri, Michael.
Is that in the Ozarks technically?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I think the Ozarks is a separate thing. I think Branson is its own thing.
This is Kevin teaches Damon about Missouri, the state of Missouri's geography and lineage on the PHN or AZ Wildcats podcast. That's Branson. We do this often.
I'll say this as like an important tidbit for this little comment here from Michael. He says, I will say Branson, Missouri is a top vacation destination in Missouri. And the phrase in Missouri is doing, yes, a lot of heavy lifting. Only in Missouri, though. Because, like, a top vacation destination in Missouri, mid-vacation destination in the nation?
My friends they just did a golfing trip in Branson, Missouri. Alec was included in that.
I'm sure it's awesome. I'm sure they had a good time. But I think, like, if you're talking about top vacation destinations, it probably takes you a while before you land on Branson, Missouri.
Yeah, you got to get there.
I'm saying.
Get there.
You probably land on the Ozarks before you land on Branson. But I could be wrong on that. That might just be my own taste of things. But I'm Link Academy crazy. Andre Iguodala II, living out in Branson, kind of just something about that feels crazy to me. Either way, he did take a visit to Baylor. It seems like some other teams besides NAU are starting to get in on the Andre Iguodala II train.
He's visited Arizona too.
He has visited Arizona as well. So yeah, maybe some more offers will start to come out again for Andre Iguodala II as time goes on here, Damon.
Yeah, certainly. And will be interesting to see where he ends up. I don't expect that to be Arizona, and I'm sure that people will be extremely reasonable about that moving forward.
Considering they're all talking about it now.
Yes.
They're all on watch now.
Yes. Well, Kevin, we're going to round things out here. Just, a couple quick hitters on some, more peripheral stuff here. Let's start off talking about softball. Swept Kansas this weekend. Kansas, not a great team. Kevin, you were kind of looking at some of the polls and had some information for the people.
Yeah, so pretty much Arizona stays where it's at, slightly moves down in the polls. They stayed put. They stayed exactly where they're at in 3 of 4 polls nationally. They were only moved up in the USA Today's poll, which moved them from 212 after being in 13 last week.
Mm-hmm.
They're still feeling the effects of losing that early season UCF series. And it's kind of honestly like Arizona basketball in a way, where like once you had that early stinker, it's hard to get that stench off of you, no matter how much you wash off between wins and stuff like that. So they will have a huge, huge chance to right the ship this week/weekend. Starting Thursday, they face off against Texas Tech. Top team in the conference, one of the best teams in the nation. Texas Tech is on a heater right now. It will be the last opportunity before the tournament to play a team in the top 25 of the RPI. I think I read that in Kim Doss's piece earlier today on the topic. So yeah, Arizona, huge game for the softball team. This set of games, I should say, for the softball team coming up. So if you are in Tucson area, please make sure to pop out and support the women as they chase down Texas Tech.
Kevin, we will be in Tucson on that Saturday for the spring game. I'm thinking about maybe popping on over to Rita Hillenbrand Memorial Stadium right afterwards and seeing if I can catch the ending of that last game of the softball, that we got going on there. Could be a good time. So make sure, head on out to Rita, support the team, and it could be a pivotal series. It will be the pivotal series in terms of Big 12 softball standings, and hopefully we can bring home a regular season championship here in year 1 of being in the Big 12.
Still got an outside chance to host as well. Got an outside chance to host a super regional. So you want all the big top 25 wins you can get at this point.
Michael asks, is Tech actually good, or is there a smoke and mirror situation? I think that they're a good team. I think that their conference record is a bit smoke and mirrors. I saw, looking at their schedule, Kevin, that they lost 11-0 getting run ruled to Texas earlier this season. Texas, I believe, at the time they were number 1. I think they're still number 1. But Arizona took Texas to extras. So I don't know if that, again, like this is, you can't transitive property it, but I do think that there's an argument to be made that Arizona is just a little bit more higher caliber team than a Texas Tech is, and that Texas Tech is really just kind of, done great here in their conference play slate. Arizona ranked higher than Texas Tech according to most of these rankings, Kevin. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. So I think there's a big opportunity, especially at home, to take this series and kind of take the reins of the Big 12 conference. But you need to win two to keep yourself alive in this. Can't lose the series. If you sweep, I think you're in a great spot because then now you have all the momentum.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up the some rankings here in the RPI, which is kind of like, it's not really the definitive ranking, but it's pretty much what you want to go off of for seeding these teams. Arizona is 13th in the RPI, and Texas Tech is 22nd. So the RPI says that Arizona should beat Texas Tech in this series. Obviously, this is softball, so like anything could happen theoretically. But yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity for Arizona to kind of cement its quality nationally this season and make a big push for the Big 12 regular season title, which we mentioned it. Your first year in the Big 12, basketball couldn't do it. Football couldn't do it. In fact, ASU did it. Baseball still on the hunt, and softball still on the hunt. So Arizona schools or Arizona teams still trying to be the first team in the school's history to win a Big 12 title. So hopefully they can get it done this season.
Yeah, definitely need one of those in year one just to feel good about ourselves, right? Just so we can sleep at night. Other news, Bray Cunningham, we didn't talk about this. She has committed to Texas. There was like a slight sliver of hope. Maybe Becky Burke could try to get her back, but obviously Bray Cunningham is a big time prospect, was going to get a bag somewhere. So makes sense that she is now at Texas. And that leaves, she is now the third player who's committed as a transfer to a school. Skylar Jones going to Louisville, which felt very in the cards from like the jump, right? When she entered, it felt like Louisville was the school for her.
It did.
And then Jada Williams took her 2 visits to both Iowa schools and ultimately winded up at Iowa State.
Still so ridiculous to me that Jada Williams took 2 visits and they were both in the state of Iowa. Did you want to give yourself a chance to be in some nice weather? That's all I'm saying.
If you were tier ranking states, where does Iowa wind up for you?
I can't say I've been to Iowa. So I think
I neither have I. This is not a conversation of being informed. This is a conversation of
probably in the middle.
The middle?
Because I feel indifferent to it. So it probably ends up in the bottom middle.
Kevin is just not a hater, dude. Bottom 5 for me. Hell tier.
But I probably got both Montanas lower
Cold,
than it.
No big cities.
True.
Where's the nature?
I feel like there's lots of nature there, right? I feel like you probably got nothing but nature. It's Iowa.
Like fields, cornfields? Is that nature?
I don't know.
Or is that agriculture?
I know a guy that went to ISU and I know a guy that went to Iowa, and they both had some great times at those schools. So I feel like it could be pretty fun out there. So I feel like maybe
I think it'd be fun to go to any state college that's a big school.
Yes, but not every state has those. Like, does Montana have one? Does either of the Dakotas have one? Does Maine have one?
I see. Like, I'm a Montana over Iowa. Easy would rather live in Montana.
They got some cool rocks and really, really great animals. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I was slipping here. I was falling down my draft board pretty fast.
I feel like if you were to pit up Iowa against all the rest of these states, I mean, like we're talking like if we played out this conversation, Kevin, you'd be like, I think I got to go the non-Iowa state here.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Yeah. No, yeah. It would be one of those things where you think you don't know any Beyonce songs and then you get dragged to a Beyonce concert and you're like, hold up. I know all the hits. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those situations, but in the reverse of you're like, you know what? I actually thought Iowa had hits, but looking back on the discography, it's all just like kind of trash.
Yeah. Trevor, I believe we only have one commit as of right now, as well as Montea Dew, who's also, never left the roster.
Did I say both Montanas and not both Dakotas?
I think you said both Dakotas.
I might have said both Montanas and Dakota.
Mike is like your
fact checker.
Your fact checker here. Your personal fact checker. I'm glad
there are one Montanas.
I I don't. I don't need. I'm glad I don't have a fact checker, and that you
We'll
do.
get you one. I'll reach
I'd
out to
prefer.
Alec and see what we can do
I'd
about an arrangement.
I'd prefer not to have one. But also in some other women's basketball news, former Arizona Wildcat Aaronette Vonleh gets drafted yesterday, as well as Maddie Connor, who Arizona fans are definitely a lot more familiar with than Aaronette Vonleh, just because Vonleh didn't play a whole lot at Arizona. But she is, of course, the sister of Noah Vonleh, who was a former NBA lottery pick, Kevin. And then she was at Baylor last season. And that's where she ultimately improved her draft stock and got selected by the Dallas Wings, where she'll be playing with Paige Buchers next season, Kevin.
I mean, look, the WNBA draft might be at a really weird time. It might be at maybe the worst time possible. Maybe on a Monday isn't the best day to have a huge day for your season. But I still enjoyed it. And I think seeing players like Maddie Connor get drafted, I'm choosing to be optimistic, and it gives me hope that maybe someday soon again we can have actual Arizona Wildcats being drafted into the WNBA draft again.
Yeah.
Like we did just recently, Damon, under Adia Barnes and hopefully under Becky Burke. Things can go back into that direction, and it won't slide the other way like we were fearful of before Burke was hired. So love to see Maddie Connor get drafted, and Damon has news.
I do have breaking news. Erica is about to say it in the chat here. Trevor obviously asked how many commits we have for women's basketball. We just got a new one. And he probably asked the question legitimately 2 minutes after this got announced. Cleveland State transfer Michaela Purdue has committed to Arizona. 5'7" senior guard who averaged 20 points per game last season and 3.5 assists, Kevin. So Arizona gets a pretty big size transfer, I'd say. I mean, I don't know, what the level in which Cleveland State is playing in their conference, but 20 points per game is something I could sign myself up for. So
cool name. I'm getting behind the name as well.
Yeah.
We track
here?
Names over here.
Erica probably said something else. She beat Cleveland State in the WNIT and then took their best player to Arizona. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That is very interesting, Erica. And of course, I love that because it means that Becky Burke got a really up close and personal look at her. I'm sure she scouted her on the film and came away saying that this is a player that she wanted on her team. So awesome, great, love to see it. Make that 3 players at Arizona now.
I mean, hey, we almost have a starting 5. We almost have a starting 5, and that's what matters most.
And David says Becky the Builder is an absolute dog. And we're going to try to get Becky on the show sometime this week, Coach Burke. AZ Catch G with a buzzer beater super chat, $5. Going to miss the rest of overtime driving out of coverage. FYI, Arizona Athletic Department will be at Chicken and Pickle tomorrow.
Whoa.
Pretty cool. I actually met AZ Catch G at Chicken and Pickle, Kevin.
Wow. You're a lucky man.
I did. I am. And it was a great time. Chicken and Pickle, great place. No longer a partner of ours, but we do love our friends over there. And then, of course, getting back to the topic at hand, Maddie Connor, I think is just kind of, for me, that's the quintessential player that Adia screwed up with. She's the one. Right? She led the NCAA in 3-pointers made. Could Arizona have used a shooter?
Yeah.
14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 3.5 assists this season for TCU, shooting an incredibly efficient 45% from 3, and TCU being a great team. Maddie Connor is an Arizona native. She gets drafted by Seattle, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, you're happy for her. Wish that it worked out better here at Arizona, and definitely for me, kind of the poster child of players that Adia did not utilize correctly and ultimately succeeded in other places, and just kind of Adia's difficulty and kind of having a sustained roster, because Maddie Connor could have been a godsend for this team in the way that they had an inability to shoot and play offense last season and the season before that, and instead we somewhat kicked her to the curb after giving her an extremely inconsistent role here at Arizona in her sophomore season. So good to see Maddie, get the best of it. And 2 former friends here in Vonleh and Connor, getting drafted, Kevin.
I want to go back real quick to Michaela Purdue and that game that they played against Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think that this is personally kind of funny. Buffalo held her to 19 points. When you're like 19 points, it doesn't seem like they held her. But she shot 25% in that game and 14% from three. I feel like Becky Burke looked at that game and said, oh, you had trouble with us throwing this at you? Let me fix that, and you'll be unstoppable. Let's just get that all ironed out. And also, I wanted to give a shout-out to Michael's comment, who says, have a feeling that the Women Cats are going to be a mid-major all-star team in 2025, 2026. Not a bad spot to be in year one. And it's true.
I'm with it.
And if Becky Burke can accomplish something even resembling a mid-major all-star team, I think that Arizona truly has some motion with this hire, because everything, literally every single thing since Becky Burke has been hired has been encouraging towards Arizona women's basketball. It has been positive. Signs are pointing up for Arizona basketball. Now, the floor is pretty low. She came in with one player on the roster. So, lots of room for improvement there, obviously, but things are pointing up for Arizona women's basketball, trying to get back to where they once were.
Certainly, Kevin. That is all your updates for today, but there is one surprise topic that I had to bring up here, Kevin, before we get out of here. Colorado football will be retiring the numbers of both Travis Hunter, number 12, and Shedeur Sanders, number 2. What are our thoughts on this, Kevin?
Well, I'm going to be quick with my thoughts because I know that you could wax poetic about this topic for hours, if not days, if not yet weeks. I think that you could go on for hours about this, so I will be brief and say, I don't think maybe I would have retired Shedeur's. I think that you can easily make an argument for Travis Hunter. The guy won a Heisman for you, a Biletnikoff for you.
Yep.
Probably your school's best player of all time, possibly. Unless I'm probably forgetting someone major. But anyway, one of your school's like foundational Mount Rushmore players of your football program. I totally get retiring his jersey. Shedeur Sanders, there's a little bit less of a conversation to be had. I think like it's like, there's more of a conversation to be had of like, what did he truly accomplish at the school to grant that, outside of having a really nice last name that fits with football and being a part of the team that brought a bunch of attention to Colorado. Yeah, I get it. I do get it. But also, it doesn't really move the needle for me, because if Shedeur Sanders is getting his jersey retired, I feel like it sets a standard for quarterbacks that get a lot of attention, that don't get a lot of accolades to win, or not to win, but to have their jersey retired.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that Shedeur is involved in this. Travis Hunter, I get it. He's a Heisman. Colorado probably will never see a Heisman, ever again. Shedeur Sanders is absolutely ridiculous. At this point, should we be retiring the jersey of every quarterback that is good at a Division I Power 5 school? Like, that's kind of where I'm at with it, Kevin, is why? I want to know why Shedeur Sanders' number is being retired, other than he changed the game. Like, can someone point to me an actual reason why he should get his number retired? Because he's not the all-time leading passer in Colorado history. He's not the best quarterback in Colorado history. Those are two different guys, by the way. Cordell Stewart won a Fiesta Bowl and finished with the number 3 ranking in the entire country at Colorado in the 90s. His number isn't being retired.
Is it already retired? Or is it not at all?
No, it's not.
Damn.
If his name was Cordell Sanders, would his number be retired? That's kind of where I'm at with it, because now, Arizona should retire Willie Tui Thomas' jersey and Nick Foles' jersey and Matt Scott's jersey and Khalil Tate's jersey. I mean, they were good quarterbacks, right? I thought that's what we were doing. I thought all you have to do, the barometer is being a good quarterback will get your jersey retired. Or is it because Shedeur Sanders is a social media star and he brings attention, and that's why you're retiring his jersey? Not because of anything he did on the football field, because going 500 in 2 seasons and winning 0 bowl games, that's not going to do the trick, Kevin. But what will do the trick is being named Sanders on the back of your jersey. And Shedeur finds himself getting his jersey retired while having absolutely no business doing so. Those are my thoughts on the matter. Needed to get him out.
I think that
needed to maybe make a short out of this on YouTube. People were thinking about possibly.
People are talking.
Peek behind the curtain there.
People are talking. Icy Mike wants us to retire Prime's cowboy hat, and I think if we're throwing
sunglasses,
throwing our hat in the ring, I think that this should also be in there. as well.
The sunglasses.
Retire Shedur's.
Why?
Retire his Rolly. Retire the Rolex.
Why isn't Shiloh's jersey being retired? His last name is Sanders.
Yeah, good point.
He won the exact same
he was a part of
games.
the team that changed the game.
Absolutely. He was a part of the transfers that changed the game.
I think, realistically, Damon, now this is like an offshoot. I'm now changing topics slightly, right? How cool would it be, though? Like, I don't know Colorado's situation. I don't know what their Hall of Fame looks like. But you know how, like, for example, the St. Louis Cardinals, their Hall of Fame, you can, like, walk through it. It's like a history museum, right?
Yeah.
You can, like, go through all the moments and, oh, that's a glove from when Ozzie Smith did that, and, oh, blah, blah, blah. How cool would it be, though, if they just had, like, Shedur's Rolly from when he would always just on, like, a little display in there, just like, this is Shedur Sanders' official Rolex.
They're going to have a, like, Shedur Sanders, like, altar that you can pray at in the Colorado Hall of Fame if that is something that they have. I know at Arizona, like, there's the kind of the walkway in McHale
yes,
that has all of the different sports that they're and people that they honor on the side. I could see like a legitimate, like, you get down and pray to the man that is Shedur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and get down on your knees and say thank you so much for coming to this school and leading us to a 4 and 9 win season respectively in 2 years. I don't know, man. It's wild. It's wild that you can go 13-11 as a starter and they're retiring your jersey. Like, it's legitimately the only reason for it is because people are going to tell you, oh, he changed the game. He put Colorado football on the map. Okay. Like that, there's a lot of guys that have done that in the past, but they're not getting their jersey retired left and right. We can be honest about this. It's a publicity stunt, and it is what it is. But Travis Hunter, well deserved. He deserves it. Heisman winner. That's a special moment, and I get that one completely.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty much with you on this. It didn't get me nearly as fired up as it got you, and that's why I wanted to give you the floor.
I just love hating the Colorado people, if that makes sense. Like, I know everybody wants to make it out to be this, like, big, like, a lot of people. There's a lot of and I'll tread lightly here, but there's a lot of, like, racism accusations when you, like, are like, I don't really like Shedur Sanders, and you're like, racist, and you're like, and it's like, no, actually, like, I think that they're good for football. Yeah. I enjoy that he's a part of college football. I enjoy that he's going to be in the pros. You need antagonists in sports. I like that he's around. I also like rooting against him.
Yeah. And I think
find him unlikable.
You and I talked about this, like, a couple weeks back when all that draft coverage was popping off and things were going crazy with the Shedur conversation and the narratives around him. I think it's totally fair for both, and I'll leave it at this on this topic. I think it's totally fair for two things to be true at the same time. Old NFL guard treating draft prospects in a prejudiced way, resulting in some sensitivity towards players being treated that way, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's also possible for that to be happening, for those things to be going on, and also for Shedur to not be a likable guy.
Facts.
Both of those things are not mutually exclusive. Like, it's not like, oh, either Shedur's a good guy and the NFL is racist, or Shedur's a bad guy and the NFL is right. It doesn't. They don't have to be the same thing.
Correct.
I think I'm not the biggest Shedur fan. I think he has his good moments, his bad moments, but I think he is kind of like a more arrogant guy. Whether he's team first or not, that's not for me to decide. Like, I'm not in the locker rooms with him. I'm not talking to him on a daily basis. But yeah, he's not the most likable dude. And I think, like, if you don't like Shedur Sanders and people are making it bigger than just a sports thing, that's more about them than it is about you, because he doesn't make it easy to root for him all the time.
No, certainly not. I think that's going to do it for us today. It was a good, all-encompassing episode of the AZ Wildcats podcast. We will be back not tomorrow, so make sure you guys do not tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. or do, and just hang out for a little bit. But we won't be going live. We will be back on a Thursday at 12 p.m. We are putting this show in limbo for a future announcement that we will have later in the week for you guys. It's a really cool opportunity me and Kevin are very excited about. So, yes, we are scheming over here. That's going to do it for us today. I am Damon Dog. That's DAWG. He is Kevo Post. That's KEVOPOSTS. We are at PHNX_Wildcats on Twitter. Give us a follow as well. Like this video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to this channel. Please, we are on the road to 40K. Everyone helps. And we will be back on a Thursday at noon on the AZ Wildcats podcast. But until then, peace, bear down.
And go Cats. Becky Burke, keep building.
We all silly like the mayor.